Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, if you're expecting or know someone who is, there's always that excitement, that guessing game. Boy or girl. It's almost unavoidable,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. It's such a
Yeah.
huge part of the anticipation. And long before we had fancy tech, people looked everywhere for clues.
Exactly. And how the mother felt, what she ate, how the baby moved, all these little signs.
It's totally natural, isn't it? We want some certainty in this amazing but kind of uncertain time. So we look for patterns, share stories, and, well, that's how you get folklore, those old wives' tales we all know.
Yeah, they become part of the whole pregnancy experience. And today we're really going to dive into that folklore, specifically the stuff about predicting a baby boy. We've looked through the sources, the common beliefs, and we're going to see which ones, if any, actually have some, scientific basis. It should be a fun look at tradition versus, well, reality.
Yeah, think of it like separating the story from the science. We'll go through some of the really popular ones, talk about what people think they mean, and then unpack what's actually going on biologically during pregnancy.
And how unique each pregnancy really is, I guess.
Exactly. Often it has very little to do with the baby's sex.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get into this mix of folklore and physiology. We've got a bunch of common ones lined up. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's kick things off with maybe the biggest one, the one almost everyone's heard of, fetal heart rate.
Ah, yes, the classic. The idea is if the baby's heart rate is generally under 140 beats per minute, it's got to be a boy. You hear that one everywhere.
It really is so widespread. And look, it uses a real medical measurement. We do monitor fetal heart rate closely, but using it to guess the gender, that's purely folklore, unfortunately. There's just no solid science linking a specific heart rate range to sex. None at all.
But why that number, 140? Is there, like, any tiny grain of truth maybe at a certain point in pregnancy?
It really seems like just an arbitrary number that caught on somehow and stuck around. The thing is, a healthy baby's heart rate normally ranges from about 110 to 160 beats per minute. And crucially, it's not stable. It goes up and down all the time.
Goes up and down based on
Oh,
what?
loads of things. Just like our heart rates change, right?
Yeah.
A baby's heart rate in the womb shifts depending on if they're active, like kicking around or just resting.
Okay.
It also changes as the pregnancy progresses. It might be a bit faster earlier on, then settle into that normal range.
Yeah.
Even things like the time of day or if the mother's just eaten can affect it temporarily.
So watching the rate is important for health,
Absolutely vital for checking well-being.
but it doesn't tell you anything about whether it's a boy or a girl.
Exactly. That number jumping around is about development and current state, not gender. Health data, not boy-girl data.
Right. Fascinating how such a specific number got attached to something so variable. Okay, so that internal signal isn't reliable. What about the outside signs? Myth number 2, carrying low. The belief that carrying the baby lower down, kind of like a basketball out front, means it's a boy.
Oh yeah, another super common one. You see people checking their profile in the mirror asking, am I high? Am I low? Am I all out front?
Totally.
And that idea that low equals boy is really baked into the culture. But again, science just doesn't back it up. The way you carry isn't linked to gender.
So the shape, the position, nothing to do with it.
Nope, absolutely nothing. How a pregnant belly looks depends on a whole bunch of factors that are completely separate from the baby's chromosomes.
Like what sort of factors?
Well, think about the mother's own body shape to start with. Her height, her torso length,
Mhm.
that makes a difference. Then there's the condition of her abdominal muscles.
Ah, right. Tighter muscles might hold the bump differently.
Exactly. Tighter muscles might keep it higher or closer in. Muscles that are maybe a bit more stretched, perhaps from having babies before, might let the bump sit lower.
So second or third baby, you might naturally carry lower anyway.
Precisely. The number of previous pregnancies is a big one.
Yeah.
And maybe the most obvious factor is just where the baby is at that particular moment.
Okay.
You know, a baby could be curled up low one day, then shift higher the next. The bump looks different depending on the baby's position and size right then. It's all about the baby's current posture and the mother's body, not the sex.
So our own bodies and muscles are the main actors here, not the baby's gender.
They really are. So analyzing the bump is fun, but it's not a crystal ball for gender.
Okay, got it. Let's shift from the bump to the belly's contents. Sort of. Cravings. Myth number 3. If you're desperate for salty stuff, savory things, maybe sour pickles, chips, steak, it's a boy. Sweets are for girls.
The great savory versus sweet debate. Look, pregnancy cravings are definitely real. Sometimes they're super intense.
Uh-huh.
But linking them to gender, Again, it's just folklore, completely anecdotal.
But why do people get these crazy cravings if it's
Yeah,
not the baby sending out gender-coded snack requests?
that's a really good question. And honestly, the science suggests it's super complex and varies massively from person to person. Hormones are probably the main driver.
The hormones again.
Always the hormones.
Mhm.
They can mess with your sense of taste and smell. Plus, maybe your body is trying to signal a nutritional need, though that's not always straightforward. Sometimes you just crave junk.
Right.
And then there's psychology, comfort food associations, even cultural ideas about pregnancy foods. What you craved last time might be totally different this time, even with the same sex baby.
So grabbing those salty chips is just your body doing its hormonal thing, not a secret message about the baby's gender.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Listen to your body, sure, but don't read too much into it gender-wise. The cravings are about you and your physiology, not the baby's sex.
Good to know. Enjoy the pickles without the gender guesswork.
Okay, moving on. Number 4, morning sickness, or rather the lack of it. The myth says if you dodge severe morning sickness, or only have it mildly, it's a boy. Girls supposedly cause more hormonal upset and thus more nausea. Well, morning sickness is incredibly common. Affects what, 70–80% of pregnancies? And yeah, it ranges hugely. Some people feel a bit queasy, others are really, really sick, sometimes for months.
And that range from zero sickness to really severe, not related to gender.
Correct. There's absolutely no scientific link between how sick you feel and the baby's sex. It's driven by those hormonal surges we mentioned, especially HCG and estrogen early on.
Right.
How your individual body reacts to those hormones determines how sick you feel. Some people are just lucky. Some have a really rough time with something like hyperemesis gravidarum, but it's down to individual physiology, not whether it's a boy or a girl in there.
So if you're feeling great in the first trimester, count your blessings, don't assume it's a boy.
Exactly. It's just how your body's handling the hormonal roller coaster, purely individual.
Okay. Myth number 5 circles back to appearance, skin, and hair. The idea is that the pregnancy glow, clear skin, maybe thicker hair, means it's a boy. Girls, supposedly, steal your beauty, causing acne or dull hair.
Yeah, that one always feels a bit harsh on the baby girls, doesn't it? And scientifically, zero basis. Absolutely none.
So the glow or the breakouts? Not a gender clue.
Not even slightly. Skin and hair do change during pregnancy for most people, that's real. But it's all down to those major hormonal shifts.
Okay.
Hormones affect oil production, blood flow that's part of the glow, and even your hair growth cycles. For some, hormones mean amazing skin and thicker hair. For others, the exact same hormones can trigger acne, skin discoloration, even some hair thinning. It's just how your specific body reacts to the hormonal environment.
So your personal hormone response and genetics are key.
Totally. Has nothing to do with the baby's sex, whether you feel like you're glowing or breaking out. It's your unique journey, not a gender signal.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, how about the baby's own actions? Myth number 6. More active movements mean a boy. Like stronger kicks, more frequent wiggles.
Yeah.
Because boys are just more active even in the womb.
This one definitely plays into some pretty old-fashioned gender stereotypes, right? And feeling your baby moves, wonderful, it's reassuring. But linking how much they move to gender, that's not accurate. Fetal activity levels vary hugely between babies.
So what does make one baby kick more than another, if not gender?
Lots of things. Probably the biggest is just the baby's individual temperament. Like kids outside the womb, some are just naturally more fidgety or active than others, boy or girl.
Huh, a baby personality already.
Kind of. Also, their position matters. A kick aimed outwards feels stronger than one aimed towards your back. Time of day is a factor, often more active when mom is resting. Even what you eat, like a sugary drink, can give them a little energy burst.
So it's the baby's own style, or maybe their position, not their sex.
That's the long and short of it. Some babies are just busy bees in there.
Yeah.
It's not a gender reveal party going on.
Okay. Myth number 7. Mood changes. Or, again, the lack of them. The idea is, if you're sailing through pregnancy pretty emotionally stable, not many mood swings, it's a boy. Girls, the myth implies, bring on the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, another one that's not backed by science and, frankly, can kind of minimize the real emotional shifts many people experience during pregnancy. Mood changes are super common, whatever the baby's sex.
So why are they so common?
Well, guess what? Hormones again. Estrogen, progesterone. They fluctuate wildly and have a big impact on brain chemistry and mood.
Right.
Then pile on the physical stuff, being tired, feeling sick, aches and pains, plus the huge mental adjustment of, preparing for a baby. Anxiety, excitement, stress. It's a potent mix. Mood swings are pretty understandable in that context.
So feeling up 1 minute, down the next, that's just the massive experience of pregnancy itself.
Exactly. It's the reality of the profound changes happening physically and emotionally. It affects everyone differently, but it's not about the baby's gender.
Okay, almost there. 2 myths left. Number 8, weight gain patterns. The belief is weight gain mostly on the belly, that forward-projecting bump means boy. Weight spread out more face, hips, thighs means girl.
This sounds a lot like the carrying low myth, doesn't it? Trying to read gender from body shape. And like that one, it just doesn't check out scientifically.
So where the weight goes isn't about boy or girl.
Not a bit. Gaining weight is essential in pregnancy, obviously. The baby grows, the placenta, amniotic fluid, your blood volume increases, you store reserves.
Sure.
Where that weight tends to settle on your body has much more to do with your own genetics, your starting body type, and just how much weight you gain overall. Some people naturally carry weight in certain areas, and pregnancy might just highlight that.
So it's about my body's usual pattern meeting the needs of pregnancy, not the baby dictating fat distribution.
That's exactly it. Your individual metabolism and body structure are the main factors, not the baby's sex.
And finally, number 9. This one always struck me as a bit odd. Cold feet. The belief that constantly having freezing cold feet during pregnancy means you're having a boy.
Yeah, that one's definitely out there.
Yeah.
And probably no surprise by now, zero connection to gender prediction.
Okay. But if someone does always have cold feet, could there be an actual reason, medically speaking?
No, absolutely. Unlike predicting gender, persistently cold feet could sometimes signal something worth checking out. Maybe poor circulation, potentially things like anemia or even diabetes sometimes affect circulation. Or, maybe it's just drafty or you need warmer socks.
True.
But yeah, if it's really persistent and bothersome, definitely mention it to your doctor or midwife. They can rule out any underlying issues. That's way more important than guessing gender based on chilly toes.
So, cold feet. Talk to your doctor about circulation. Don't start painting the nursery blue.
Health first, always.
Okay, wow. So we've gone through 9 really common beliefs about predicting a boy. Heart rate, cravings, bump shape, cold feet, the works. And looking at the science, the answer seems to be a pretty clear nope across the board.
That really is the bottom line, isn't it? These old wise tales, they're fun, they're part of the tradition passed down through families, but they just don't hold water scientifically for predicting sex. They're folklore, not biology.
And yet people love them. Even if they kind of know they're probably not true, they still get repeated. Why do you think they stick around so strongly?
I think it goes back to that deep human need for answers, for certainty, especially during a time like pregnancy that's full of wonder but also unknowns. We're wired to find patterns, right? To look for clues. Feel like we have some insight. These myths offer really simple, tangible signs people feel they can spot. Oh, my feet are cold, or I'm craving pickles. It creates connection, too. Everyone's heard them. People share stories like it was true for my cousin. They sort of satisfy that pattern-seeking part of our brain, even if the pattern is just coincidence.
So they hang around because they meet a psychological need for predictability, for shared experience.
I think so. It's less about accurate prediction and more about navigating the mystery together, using these shared stories.
That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, for listeners who do want to know the gender accurately, what are the reliable, science-backed ways?
Well, modern medicine gives us very accurate options, if finding out is something you choose to do. The most common is probably the mid-pregnancy ultrasound, usually around 18 to 20 weeks. A trained sonographer can often visually identify the baby's anatomy.
Right, the anatomy scan.
Exactly. And even earlier now, there are genetic tests. Non-invasive prenatal testing, or NIPT, is a blood test done on the mother, usually around 10-12 weeks or later. It analyzes tiny bits of the baby's DNA in the mother's blood and can determine sex with really high accuracy, along with screening for certain genetic conditions.
So ultrasound looking at anatomy or NIPT looking at chromosomes, those are based on direct evidence.
Precisely. They're giving you biological data, not interpreting folklore.
And stepping back from all the guessing games, the myths, even the tests, what's really the most important thing to focus on during this whole pregnancy journey?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, it's the health and well-being of both the mother and the baby. That's priority number 1. All the focus, the energy, the care. It should really be about supporting a healthy pregnancy, managing any health concerns, and just getting ready, physically and mentally, for the baby's arrival.
It really does come back to just prioritizing health, doesn't it? Taking care of yourself, listening to your doctors and midwives, maybe trying to enjoy the process as much as you can.
Absolutely. Good nutrition, rest, safe movement, getting your prenatal care. Those are the things that make a real difference for the outcome. The gender is interesting, sure, but it's secondary to a healthy baby and a healthy mom.
And I guess no matter what the myths say, or even what an early test might tell you, the biggest, best surprise is always
Meeting that healthy baby at the end of it all. That's the real prize, the focus we all hope for.
That feels like the perfect way to wrap this up. We've journeyed through the fascinating world of baby boy prediction myths, trying to sort the charming stories from the scientific facts.
And maybe, in doing that, we've touched on just how much we humans want to peek behind the curtain of the unknown, especially during a time as profound as pregnancy.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, our listener. Considering how persistent these myths are, even now with all our technology, what does this enduring fascination really tell us about our deep-seated desire for certainty? And maybe how does that desire color the way we experience the amazing, unpredictable journey of bringing a new life into the world?
Something to think about, that blend of tradition, curiosity, and the mystery of it all.
Definitely something to ponder. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.